Coming up next, we're going to talk about what Oklahoma's offensive identity is going to be. Later, we're going to discuss which freshmen are going to have the opportunity to shine in non-conference play the first 3 games of the season. Coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So with a new offensive play caller, a new quarterback, and a new offensive line, a new slot wide receiver, what is this Oklahoma Sooners offense going to look like, Jay, when we roll into 2024?
Toughness, right? We heard that speech from Brent Venables numerous times. That's the one thing that he says over and over. Toughness is the most important thing. We're going into the SEC, so toughness is going to be critical going there. So I feel like we're going to be a pound the ball type of team, right? You're going to see Jackson Arnold do his thing at quarterback. They're going to leverage the fact that he is not only very athletic and he can fast. He's not sneaky fast or deceptively fast. He's fast. He can scoot. You're going to see him moving around, but you're also going to see that ball handed to those running backs. And so for me, the question is going to be, what running backs are the ones going to be taking over? We know Sawchuk's basically got that number 1 locked down, but there's going to be a number 2. I feel like we're going to have 2 running backs in the 800-yard range easily. We may have 3. I don't know if we hit 1,000 yards this year. That's been my question, but what is that running back room going to look like? Who's going to be the one next to Sawchuk that's going to rack up 800, if things go great, 1,000 yards apiece? That's where I'm trying to figure out what that identity looks like there.
I mean, I think Gavin Sawchuk could very well cross the century mark. I mean, if you extrapolate his final 5 games of the season and project that over 12 games, that's a 1,400-yard season.
It's true.
I mean, he was on fire over the final 5 games of the season and still wasn't even really getting a bunch of carries. I mean, he was averaging like 14, 15 carries a game, and he was just explosive because of his breakaway percentage was one of the highest in college football. I mean, just behind Ollie Gordon, actually, in looking at runs of 15 yards or more, and how much his yardage came from that. So I expect we're going to see Gavin Sawchuk have a great start to the season. You know, will he cross 100 yards in the first 3 games against, Temple and Tulane and Houston? Maybe, maybe not, because you might not need him to carry the ball 15 times in those games to win those games. But as you get into the season, into the heart of the season, you're going to rely upon him a whole lot more, especially when you go on the road to Auburn in the Red River Showdown. He's going to get a lot more work than he did last year. When you play teams like Ole Miss and you maybe want to slow the thing down a little bit, you're going to rely on that running game a whole lot more. And I do think Gavin Sawchuk is set to have his first 1,000-yard season as a collegiate back. But I think you're right. Whoever that RB2 is going to be an impactful player, and you need to figure that out because you're going to want to run the ball as this defense takes on kind of the identity of this team and the leadership of this team. What does that mean? Okay, you play strong defense, you run the football, and you kind of take the air out of the ball and make teams have to play catch up. And if Oklahoma's offense is able to get leads, it's going to put a lot of pressure on opposing offenses. There are some good offenses like a Jackson Dart and a Jalen Milroe and Texas and Quinn Ewers, but are there going to be enough offenses able to play from behind? I think the Oklahoma Sooners have an offense that's able to play from behind because of the explosiveness they have at wide receiver. But I think because of what they've got at running back and what I think they're going to have along the offensive line, they're also going to be able to play with the lead as well, pretty well. So it's going to be very interesting because I think they're going to be able to take a very balanced approach, passing and running. But I think they're going to try to establish a physical mindset early on and get those guys up front setting the tone for this team. They don't want to be running jet sweeps on 3rd and 1 to try and pick up a first down. No,
we're not in the middle.
Or on 4th and goal from the 1, trying to run a wide receiver screen out to Xavier Worthy to try and get in the end zone. No, they want to be able to punch it in from 1st and goal at the 1. They don't want to be needing 4 downs to get in the end zone. So I think Brent Venables, Seth Littrell, Joe John Finley, Bill Bedenbaugh are going to have a pretty clear vision for this team. Yeah, do they want to air it out? They want to take advantage of Jackson Arnold's elite arm talent? 100%. But they want to establish a physical mindset for this team and let the SEC know that they're not going to be pushed around.
That's the good thing, too, is, as you mentioned, you get that running game established and that toughness going up the middle. that opens up the wide receivers anyway, right? It's going to open up the middle of the field to where you can get the ball to a Deion Burks and he can play in space. You can get the ball to a Nick Anderson running up the sideline. You can get the ball up to Jaden Gibson if he wants to catch it across the middle or he wants to catch it deep and running up the sidelines as well, right? Any combination of the wide receiver room, you'll be able to do that with a running back room that is setting the tone. And so I do feel like Seth Littrell is going to run the ball down the throat. You have a nice plethora of running backs, right? And as you talked about with Gavin Sawchuk, his numbers would have equated out to 140 yards if it was all season. He got healthy right after that Texas game, and you saw it. Once he was healthy, he's back to what you needed him to be. Now we need to see if Javante Barnes is as healthy as well. And then you can mix in Emeka Megwa, who I'm hearing really good reports on him right now. He could potentially be someone that's going to be, a little bit of a pound the ground running back, maybe 8 to 10 carries a game type dude as he's still trying to get healthy from the multiple knee surgeries. But then Caleb Hicks as well. You get him out in space. He's shown that the establishment of the run game is going to be critical. And I think to add to that toughness, to wrap it up, is going to those tight ends, right? We talked about how the tight end room has got to step up. I think Seth Littrell is going to put them to work. The question is, which one of those tight ends is the one that's going to step up and not only block, but catch that ball in the flat or across the middle?
Right. So much of this game is won at the line of scrimmage. As much as the air raid is taking over college football, it still comes back to the line of scrimmage. It still comes back to controlling time of possession and establishing the run. Now, I can talk at length about what the analytics show, but just from a demeanor standpoint, I mean, because the numbers, you could talk about the numbers, but just a demeanor, an attitude, and a mindset. If you establish the run and you establish physical superiority at the line of scrimmage, it takes everything else away. It takes all the pressure off of your quarterback, and it makes his life a whole lot easier. And it's going to be a give and take situation too, because I think there are going to be games where Oklahoma really pressures defensive backfields to the extent that they're going to have to drop extra people into coverage, which is going to open up so much for Gavin Sawchuk in the draw game. It's going to open up so much in the counter game. But I think with a guy like Branson Hickman at center, with Fabechi Weewood at right guard, you're going to have a really nice little interior combination to run trap plays, to run dives. That's going to create some really easy yardage for this team, because you want to get the easy yards where you can. Sometimes it's so difficult to move the ball. If you can pick up 5 yards on first down just by running a simple dive play, man, that's so huge. And it puts your team on good footing moving forward. And honestly, it gives you a better chance to score. So it's going to be exciting to see how Seth Littrell and this offense create and establish an identity in 2024. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Have you been looking for tickets to a comedy show, the theater, concerts, whatever it is? Go to the Game Time app, download it in your app store, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege, and you can get $20 off your first purchase. Inside the app, you can see exactly what you're going to be looking at from your seat. That's the best place to check it out. You won't have to worry about obstructed views. You won't have to worry about poor eyesight or poor lines of sight, because you checked it out in the Game Time app. Again, use promo code LOCKEDONCollege to get $20 off your first purchase. They are the best place to get the last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Today's episode is also brought to you by Factor. It's that time of year where life just starts getting fast again. The summer is starting to wind down. School is going to be starting in a couple of weeks for a lot of you. I know it is for us. We're already getting the backpacks and the water bottles ready for our kids, getting ready to go to school. But hey, you run out of time for meal prep. You don't know exactly what your weekly schedule is going to be like, especially with all the extracurriculars coming up. Well, go check out Factor. They've got you set up with great, healthy, chef-crafted meals that have options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto as well. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, transporting kids from soccer practice to tumbling to taekwondo, Factor's got you ready for to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. They've got 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from. Treat yourself to restaurant quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. That sounds delicious. Cannot wait to get that from Factor. So head to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 and use code lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code lockedoncollege50 at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active over at Factor.